John Hanson. I'm precinct chair in Payson. Tim.
I've looked at your brochure and I love what I see, but I don't like what I don't see. Would you address your philosophy with regard to the Internal Revenue Service and taxing? And what would you do? And please tell me, how big a part of your platform would it be?
So we're going to roll out, and that's our mailer for April 15th, which has a kind of a symbolic day, but you'll see over the next several weeks several mailers that come out. I'm a big believer in the national fair tax. We punish production in this country. We have an income tax that wasn't envisioned by our founding fathers. It was the 16th Amendment that was passed, and when you tax something, you get less of it. And today we're a nation that isn't manufacturing as much, we're not producing as much at a time when we really need to create jobs and economic activity. The national fair tax is an end-user consumption tax that is assessed only at the final point of final consumption purchase. Freeing up income tax would allow entrepreneurs and manufacturers and producers to keep more of what they make, plow it back into the economy, create more jobs. Today we have a system that is, I think, punishes success, and we're not getting as much economic activity out of our economy as we could with a national sales tax. Basically, nationalfairtax.org, if you want to get into the details of it, you would stimulate more investment, more savings, and you would actually see, you pay that tax anyway all along now, because if you take a loaf of bread for $1, $2 if it's multi-grain, but you're paying in that all along the value chain. The farmer has a tax that he pays, the producers have a tax they pay, the distributors have a tax they pay, the grocery store has a tax they pay, and then you have a sales tax that you pay along the way. And by putting it all at the end user, you'd see probably around 20 plus or minus % tax that you would understand that's the cost of government. And I think it would be a simpler, fairer system, and it would make our economy more efficient.
Could I just follow up on
Sure,
that, and then I'll shut up?
Yeah.
I'm a retired federal police officer. I went to a number of enforcement schools, sometimes with IRS agents. Mean-spirited people. I can only say that about one agency, and it made me sick to see 16,500 new IRS agents, or home health police, coming in under President Obama. What is your feeling about the IRS, and would your national fair tax plan reduce, diminish, do away with? Can you talk to that issue?
Ultimately, it should do away with them completely, but it would probably be a transition period where you'd have, there would be a lot of compliance, there would be a lot of monitoring in terms of the collection, but it would all be at the end user point, so you wouldn't have the distrust of the federal government, of every American citizen, and the fear. I mean, most people fear an IRS audit more than, I can't remember what it was, but it was kind of
Rightfully, too,
yeah.
than a root canal.
Yeah, well, I think it was even worse than that. But in any case, the problem is the lack of productivity in our system because of the tax code, the way it works, 18,000 pages of inefficiency. We are spinning our wheels in non-productive activities, and it hurts our economy's productivity long term. We have real competition coming from China, from India, from Brazil, other places, trying to take steal our economy, steal our wealth, steal our markets, steal the middle class that America enjoys. And if we don't get more efficient at every turn, we're running into some real problems as it relates to our national economy being more competitive. So that's one area that I think we ought to move towards. Can I promise you that I'm going to be successful in abolishing the income tax? I mean, I don't know, but I'm going to champion, as Representative Linder and others, this move to a better tax system that's going to be fairer to all people. Today, if people want to be dishonest, they get away with it. We punish people that are honest and follow the laws, follow the rules. And it's not unlike a lot of government policy. And this would free us up from the oversight of the government in our natural economy, and it would be easy to assess. So if you want to go to nationalfairtax.org, it's a good way to get some details on that. Yes?
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you gauge the possibilities of making this kind of reform?
Well, I think we have a real problem in our economy today. Overall, we are inefficient. The government's getting more and more powerful and choking off the private sector. The future demands that we get more competitive as a nation. And I think that tax reform moving federal roles and responsibilities to the states are two major issues that are going to be the battlegrounds over the next decade, where we have to really fight to alter the direction of the country. I can't yet assess, I mean, I think even a flat tax would be better than what we have today, but it's still a tax on income, so it doesn't free up income and production as much as it needs. I don't know if you've ever read the book Atlas Shrugged, but if you haven't, I recommend it. It really shows the clash between the government and producers in our economy, and there's this fight constantly going. We've got to stop that and stop the madness, because we're going to lose our competitive edge in the world. So I think it's critical. I think those are two critical issues for us. 1 to 10, that's hard. That's kind of a little bit arbitrary, but you know, I'm willing to fight the fight and see if we can move in that direction. So it's not a 10.
Yeah, I understand.
Two different things I was interested in. One has to do with U.S. Department of Education. What does it do well? And the second one has to
That'll
do
be a
with,
short answer, but
yeah, and the second one has to do with Iran and Iraq,
okay.
and Afghanistan.
So I don't know how it is today. Maybe Deidre would know this, but at the time there were something like 150 some odd programs that the Department of Education that is involved in. For a small state like Utah, that's overwhelming. The compliance cost for federal programs, Title I programs, Race to the Top, No Child Left Behind, all of these things that you have are very, very difficult for a state like ours to I think, support. I mean, I can't tell you, there may be some good things that are there, but when I was there, I'm a businessman, when I was back there trying to wrestle out of the mandates, they wanted to control and determine outcomes and not really give us the freedom and autonomy that they promised. No Child Left Behind was sold on a promise of more state autonomy, more accountability, and more school choice. Those are all things I believe in. I mean, I support those ideas conceptually, but when the government gets in and mandates these programs, they end up trying to control and not allowing you the flexibility to run your own school programs. So in our case, we had UPass in this state, which was designed for the state on the needs and expectations of the state, and the federal government wanted to do something wholly different to push our students forward. So at the end of the day, to me, accountability is a good thing. I mean, we need accountability in education, and for a long time, public education was not very accountable, but beyond that, I don't, you know, I didn't recognize a lot of things that were there. They move a lot of focus to Title I, to, you know, poverty areas, and I just feel like, you know, we have a struggle in public education, in my opinion, in a lot of ways. I'm a believer in charter schools. I promoted challenging the public school system with vouchers so it would reform and get better. But the federal government intervening in that was never helping us move in the right direction. So Iran and Iraq, or Afghanistan and Iraq, okay.
Well, Iran figures in there also, since they almost have the bomb.
I think ultimately Israel will fix that problem if it doesn't get dealt with.
You actually think that the current administration will allow them to overfly Iraq?
No, I think Israel will do it on their own. I mean, they have too much of an interest.
We would have to allow them to overfly from Israel to hit Iran. You think that? I know that the Obama administration has. I'm trying to remember who said it, but said that if they tried to overfly, we would shoot them down. And my question is, would we actually allow them to overfly?
In this administration, there's a lot of tension right now. I mean, the Israelis are pretty strong-willed to defend their own sovereignty, and when they feel like their country's at risk, they're going to deal with it. I mean, I'm certain of that. They've done it before, historically. But let me just give you my perspective on Iraq, Afghanistan, and where I think we need to go as a nation. I believe that you know, I was for the surge. I think we had to win that war. I think we had to end strong. We're now going to be drawing down troops out of Iraq, Afghanistan. Same thing. We've got to give the generals what they need and make sure that we win that conflict. But I'm not a big believer in long-term presence there for our military. It puts our boys and girls at risk. If you look at Korea and other places where we've left a presence, I hope that's not, and I would not support that as a senator, to have long-term military presence in either of those two countries. Iraq, you can already see that there was just an election held. The Sunnis came back to power narrowly. They're putting together a coalition government now. That's